foreclosures bloodbath deepens as banks seize 40,000 homes in just 1 month, and the pain is only beginning. With the number of Americans losing their homes to banks rising for an 11th straight month, it's clear the housing crisis is getting worse rather than better. The U.S. foreclosure activity jumped again in January 2026 with a total of 40,534 properties facing foreclosure filings, a 32% increase from the same time last year. A clear sign the pressure is building, not easing. Foreclosure starts when lenders formally begin the process of taking back a home are up 26%, while completed repos have surged nearly 59%.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Here we go again. Bloodbath, foreclosures everywhere. They're trying to scare you. What I'd like to do today is show you some information to see if there's an opportunity to buy a home in your state, potentially at a discounted price. Not here to scare you. Every video I do is not about fear, fear, fear. It's about the truth. That's what we're trying to get to. No disrespect to anybody else. I get it. It's capitalism. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Robert. And on this channel, we simplify the home loan process. Also, I'm a lender. If you need help with residential financing, my contact information will be in the pinned comment and in the description of the video below. Let's get into the video. This article from the company ATTOM or ATTOM talks about the U.S. foreclosure rates by states in January of 2026. I'll put the link to the article in the description so you can read it for yourself. But just want to point out a couple of things. The first thing I'd like to point out, in January, the foreclosure activity decreased from the prior month. So in December, not as many foreclosures, but remained above levels reported 1 year earlier. You guys have to start understanding the game that's being played. If it's not doom and gloom, if it's not the sky is falling, if it's not horrific news, probably not going to get your attention. You got to get past the headlines, the shock and awe. Okay. So actually, there was some good news as far as foreclosures are concerned. But it goes on to say total filings, 40,534 properties with default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions. Now, the reason that's important because there's a process that goes into foreclosing on a property or turning it back into a real estate owned by a bank, a lender, or whoever. And don't get it twisted. They don't want that back. They want the interest on the money. That's why they did the loan. But as you can see, it's a legal process where the property is seized. But here's the deal. Default notices and or demand letters. Okay. And that's sent out after 120 days of delinquency. Right. Then you have the notice of sale. Then you have the actual auction. And then the post foreclosure eviction. So it's a process. And what a lot of people don't tell you is that just because a demand letter or something was started, not a demand letter, but a default letter was sent out, that does not mean that that house is going to go into foreclosure. And I want you to stick to the end of the video because I'm going to show you some places where you can look for these foreclosures to validate the point that I'm making. But let's move forward. So understand that foreclosures are a process. And just because you've been defaulted for 120 days doesn't mean that you go all the way to where you actually have to forfeit the property. Okay, that was my point. And then lastly, here are the states with the worst rates based upon this report: Delaware, Nevada, Florida, South Carolina, and Maryland. You guys read the article because it gives all 50 states and where they list. But what I like about the article, if you're in Delaware, right, it tells you what counties that these filings were significant in, or what counties made up the filings. If you're in those areas and you're looking to get onto the housing ladder, that might be an opportunity for you. Okay. Now, let me move forward. The next thing I want to point out is how many houses in 2008 went to foreclosure. That's what you want to know. And here's the deal. There were approximately 2.33 million properties in the United States that received at least one foreclosure filing that started the process. And that represented a sharp 81% increase from 2007 to 2008. And why that's important, the history, the context is important, is because this is what they keep telling you guys. Who are you guys? Those of you that are waiting to get onto the housing or the property ladder to get into a home, you're waiting on these prices to plummet and, so that you could get an excellent deal. But what I'm saying is you might be waiting in vain and waiting too long. Some of you guys have waited since before the pandemic, and you've still been waiting on these discounts to come about, and they're just not happening. I'm just trying to show you how you need to go further to decide if now is the time for you to move forward and not continue to miss out on a purchase price tier that is gone. And I don't see it coming back, meaning coming down. When you distill this, I think the key stat that I want to point out here is here. That means that 1 in every 54 homes, 1 in every 54 homes in the U.S. at that time was dealing with some type of foreclosure. When you look at Delaware is the number one state for January, it's 1 in every 1,600 homes there. And Delaware is not a huge state. This chart even gives you a better picture, okay, of the number of foreclosures. Then you see 2008. And so you see that uprising to the peak of 2010. And then things started getting better as far as the foreclosures are concerned. But here we are, last quarter, 2025, we're here. So you got to understand when they're talking about these percentages, you can make numbers present a narrative, and it's the way you present it. Everybody online, including me, I'm trying to get your attention. And so what's the best way to get your attention? Fear, grief, make you cry, some type of emotion. So understand that when you're hearing these things, but know that you have to go deeper because people are being misled, and it's on purpose because wherever the attention goes, the money flows. As you can see here, we're nowhere near from 2008 to 2010 at the height of the foreclosures. We're over here. Actually, it was going up a little bit and not starting to come down. Now, we don't know what the future holds. And a lot of the reports are a leading indicator of things to come. Well, we have to wait and see. That's number one. Number two, are you in foreclosure? You have to watch the fear that you put out. And it's not so much for those of you that have a home. It's for those that are on the sideline that are looking to get in, and you're listening to all of this fear and doom and gloom, and you're not running your numbers. You're not looking at your local market, and you might be missing out on an opportunity. Here's the last thing. How many Americans qualify to buy a home in 2026? And so it says roughly there'll be 4.13 million to 4.2 existing home sales transactions. And if you look back to the height of transactions a couple of years back, that's where you have seen a collapse, not in the price of homes, but in the transactions. The buyer pool, there's around 1 in 7 Americans that hope to buy a home soon. And this is driven by pent-up demand. And so the reason that term is important, pent-up demand, is because rates are already down. My rates are high 5s, low 6s, been that way for a while. Say rates drop another full point. All of those folks that have been waiting to buy are going to enter the market. And what do you think the prices of homes are going to do, especially in areas where people want to live? No disrespect to some of these places where, rent is still $800. There's a reason for that. Pent-up demand and the interest rates coming down too quickly or getting to a sweet spot is really going to hinder a lot of you guys that still want to get onto the housing ladder, because the inventory, you have to prepare yourself and you have to make sure you're listening to the right people. Where are the opportunities? If this is going on and you see it's happening in your state, how can you take advantage of that? I'm not one that's happy and cheering and making jokes about people that are struggling. There's a lot of channels like that, and they got a whole lot of folks. But again, that goes to what I was talking about earlier. But if that's you and you're looking for an opportunity, you might consider a foreclosed home, a real estate owned home. So there's a couple of places: Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. Those are the government sponsored entities or conventional loans. Okay. Well, they have portals where they have what they call, in this case, a home path loan or home, and a home step home. In essence, all it is are homes that have been foreclosed on and brought and forfeited on and brought back into their inventory and they're trying to sell. And you could either use a home ready or a home possible loan, or one of their renovation loans to possibly renovate or get the house in the aesthetic that you want it in, cosmetically, or even some structural things. And the goal is that if it's designated with a home step or home path, you as a homeowner have first dibs for a certain period of time before it goes to possibly an investor to buy. Here's the bigger point. In Texas, as you can see here, for Freddie Mac, 154 homes. Where are all these foreclosures? Again, a filing, someone that has started the process, doesn't mean that it's always going to end up in this status where the home is actually forfeited, taken back to be resold. Freddie Mac only has 154 properties that are real estate owned. The next place, the HUD store for FHA loans. For the whole state of Texas, there's a whole 166 homes that have been listed for sale. I'm not saying that there aren't any, but they're not all of these homes that they're trying to scare you about. But you might be able to find an opportunity in the state, city where you are, if there's a home available, because FHA homes also, if they're insured, you might be able to do a 203 rehab, 203K, or a limited, depending on how long you've been around, a full or a limited. But those are rehab loans where you can get that home up to par, right? USDA, this is their website for properties that they've foreclosed and taken back. And as you can see here, you got to kind of look, but what is this? Mississippi has 5 homes. You want to move to Mississippi? What is this? Tennessee has 1 home that they foreclosed on. And so like Texas, none. In these larger states, there's no homes that have been turned into real estate owned. And last but most definitely not least, the VA foreclosure, VA Vendy, this is their portal where they manage their real estate owned property that they're trying to resell. And as you can see here, man, the state of Texas, there's a whopping, 88 houses for sale in Texas. The point is that all of these homes that these videos try to get you all hot and bothered about, or to subliminally tell you you shouldn't buy a home, you gotta do your research to make sure that you're not missing an opportunity for you and your family. Hopefully it made sense. Did I get it wrong? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comment section. Just do so respectfully. If you're ready to get onto the housing ladder and you want to know about any of these options that I aforementioned, you still have to be properly approved, qualified to get a loan unless you're paying cash. Well, I'm a lender. My NMLS license number is 180100. My contact information is in the top pinned comment or the description of this video below. My time is up, but I thank you for yours. As I always say, let's be good to one another. Let us let grace abound. Watch these next 2 videos to make sure that you continue your education. For those of you that are looking to get on the proper ladder the right way, and for the rest of you, indeed, y'all stay blessed.